Alright. Hello everyone. It is I, Wacky Anime What Ifs. I'm new to YouTube What Ifs. I'm going to try my best though. But please don't hate me too much in the comment section if anyone actually comments on this. It's what if Subaru had Eyes of the Lord. Subaru is from ReZero, and Eyes of the Lord is from Adam from Records of Ragnarok. Okay, we're gonna start off with Subaru as a child. When he was born different from everyone else. His parents always had like black hair, but he came out having blonde hair and blue eyes. The dad literally wanted to do a DNA test, and they found out that his DNA structure was completely different from both of them. So the dad thought the mom, cheated, but then realized it could have just been a DNA mutation or something, which was true. So he always held the doubt in the back of his head. When Subaru was growing up, they found out he wasn't an average child. He always had apples with him. He always bit into apples and constantly, spit them out because they were too sour to him sometimes. They didn't understand much about him, but he was way too intelligent. When he was a kid, he could solve math equations that most actual teachers could not. From elementary school. He was always fast. He was always faster than everyone else. But whenever he, went somewhere, did anything, he mimicked everything is what they found out. Subaru found that out too when he was taking boxing classes, and all of a sudden he was losing on a sparring match. His eyes changed, and then he was mimicking everything that the other person was doing, but a little bit stronger. Or more skilled, to be exact. And everyone noticed that his eyes changed, except for Subaru. So they told him about how his eyes changed, and they pulled up like a recording. He looked at the recording, and in his mind he thought, wait, do I have a superpower? And if you haven't noticed, Adam's personality is a little bit infused into Subaru. Just a tad bit. Mainly his appearance is mostly Adam, but with Subaru. Okay, so we skip to where he's been doing all this training. Pull-ups, push-ups, running 100 kilometers. Not 100 kilometers, but a few kilometers, like 5 kilometers. Yeah, he kept on doing like all the routines. He also did the One Punch Man routine at one point, because he was a fan of One Punch Man. And animes exists, where he is, obviously. So he was reading all of these animes, and then he was like, I'm more like Adam from Records of Ragnarok. And then he realized that he has the same drawback, because of the similarities. He can't use it too frequently, though. Because if he uses it too frequently, he knows he's gonna fucking die. He was, working out like his usual. And just so you know, by now, he has like a complete 7-pack, my dude. He is buff as hell. So he went to the store, he bought some apples, and he bought, a bag of potato chips. And he was reading some manga, and all of a sudden he could hear a voice. The voice was, very, very, desperate it sounded. He could hear it, but then again he couldn't. It was like it going in and out. So he decided, I'm gonna go ahead and, leave now. He just walked out, he blinked once, and he was in another world. He wasn't freaking out like the normal Subaru though, he was more calm and composed, thinking, oh, he's in another world. Everyone was staring at him, because most people usually do stare at him, because no homo. But he's a pretty attractive dude. So everyone started staring at him, he was kind of freaked out because he saw all these other races that he never thought were real. He only saw in books or fairy tales. But he was also excited inside. He, started looking around and everything. He accidentally went into the, place where those furry females were. You didn't know that it was a female's restroom? Yeah. The only difference is, they didn't try to slap him, they tried to drag him in, so he started running away. He was like, not today! He was like, I am not here anymore. If you get the reference, you're pretty cool. Okay. So, he ended up, searching everywhere. He found dead ends everywhere, couldn't find out where he was, because they basically were looking like he was stupid. So he went into the alley, he put his bag down, put his jacket off, and then he just digged into his bag and started eating an apple. And then these thugs literally just walked down the alleyway. They saw Subaru, they were like, he's probably easy pickings. Because even though he's buff, you couldn't really tell, through his jacket at first. But when he took out his jacket, they were like, there's still 3 of us, there's only 1 of him. This is where they done fucked up. Alright, so the big guy literally goes up first and says, give us all your stuff and we might let you live. Subaru wasn't panicked at all. And he actually started laughing a lot, saying, you think you can beat me? And they were like, yeah, why not? There's 3 of us. And we got weapons. And they pulled out weapons. They pulled out fucking 2 swords. And he was like, alright, come on at me. So, the guy with 2 swords started trying to go up towards him, the blue-haired guy. Yeah, that was the worst mistake. He grabbed his arm, right when he was about to lunge at him. He twisted it backwards, he snapped the man's arm, and made the sword go right into his shoulder. And then he literally grabbed him from the back of the neck, and fucking flipped him. And then grabbed the sword, and slashed the little guy that was charging at him, just fucking slashed him, and he fell backwards. He just fucking kicked the motherfucker. Big guy wanted some too, started trying to wail at him. Subaru just dodged. He was like, yeah, you too slow. And, he was making fun of them too. While the big guy was trying to attack, he did 5 punches, none of them hit. And he just barely dodged them, just so he could make more fun of them. He was saying, yeah, that ain't shit. He was like, you want to see my ultimate move? German suplex! Went up right behind him, picked him up, German suplexed the man. Man was out cold. The blue-haired guy was like, we'll leave you alone, just let us go. And Subaru was like, nah, you already lost that right. So, they were all scared. Felt literally started running through the alleyway, saw the carnage, was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and just get away from them. Just started parkouring, and they were like, help us! And she was like, you gotta get yourself into this on your own, bye! Just ran away. Amelia looked in the alleyway, saw what was happening, and then asked Subaru, what was happening, and if any of them saw the, the actual girl that had an emblem with her, an emblem crest. And Subaru was like, yeah, I think it was the one that just parkoured over there. And then, yeah. That was completely messed up, though. Oh, I'm doing a what if video. So, it was completely messed up, because, she literally saw, Subaru just bodied those 3. Just saw the carnage. Heck, he saw, the big guy get up right behind him. And Amelia was about to, fire an icicle, but as soon as Subaru saw that, he went I got something for you. He just backhanded him. He just basically pimp slapped him. And he just flew through the wall. He was like, oh, fuck.
Went on the right of his life. I said went on the right of his life.
Yep. And the funniest thing was, literally, Amelia was like, oh, okay, he's pretty strong. I didn't think he was that strong. She saw that he had a full 7-pack and was like, wow, okay, he can handle himself. And then she was off on her way to find the crest. Subaru offered her, like, his assistance. And she didn't really have a reason to decline at the moment, so she was like, oh, alright, sure. Though she felt like she'd owe him a favor, though, because, well, she didn't actually save him in this timeline like in canon. Yeah, man saved himself. So he had this bag and he was eating apples and stuff. Amelia asked if she could have an apple, and he was like, no. She was like, well, okay then. Like, he ended up, searching everywhere. He's smarter than our canon Subaru, and he saw what Felt was wearing, so he was like, she's probably in the slums. So they just go ahead and about to go to the slums, and then he saw the apple guy. He was like, give me the apples. And then he was like, you gotta pay for that, sir. Like, he was like, apples. Like, his eyes literally just turned into apples. Like, look, the inside of his pupils just turned into apples. And then the apple guy was like, oh no, it's the apple gone. Like, he was literally like, the legends were true. And look, all of a sudden he just goes legendary Apple Saiyan. Just kidding. That didn't actually happen.
That explains the return by death.
Yeah.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
It was so funny though. Like, he got some apples from him just because he was kind of scared that his pupils turned into apples. So they went to the slums. They asked this one guy. He was like, "Oh yeah, Felt is probably with Rom." And then he said, "Wait, they're with alcohol?" He's like, "Not rum, Rom." And then it was like, "He's with ramen?" And they're like, "You're retarded, aren't you?" And then he's like, "I'm only slightly retarded." It was hilarious. They all started laughing, and they're like, "He's pretty funny. We want to hang out with him later on."
He's a cool guy.
So Subaru and Amelia, they just walk in, and then he's like, "Oh no, she's approaching us." And then she's like, "What are you talking about?" And then Subaru's like, "Oh, I forgot. No one in this world gets this reference." And then all of a sudden, Elsa literally tries to swipe at them when they enter. And then Subaru literally just knocks Amelia out of the way and just pimp slaps Elsa. Like, before that blade could even reach him, just pimp slaps her. And Elsa just flies back, and Subaru sees Rom with, a glass beer into his neck, and he's like, you see, that's why I don't drink. He's like, see, it's bad for your lungs.
Bad for your health at all.
And literally, Felt is pissed off because Subaru's just making this joke while Rom's bleeding to death. And then he's like, well, who else was gonna make the joke? And they're like, you know what, fair enough. And Elsa's still attacking him. He's just smoothly dodging while he's speaking. He's not even paying attention to Elsa, and Elsa's kind of pissed off about that. But then again, he just realized that he's overusing the eyes of the Lord. So it's starting to make him, veins are starting to pop out and stuff, and he's like, oh shit, I'm overusing. So he's trying to end this quick. So he copies the Battle Hunter's movements, starts swinging around, they all start swinging around the entire area, bouncing off the walls and shit. And they're like, oh my god, they're both on crack. Because of how fast they're going. Look. And then Subaru's like, Gom punch! And then literally Elsa's like, wrong anime! Just slaps him.
Still gets knocked back.
Yeah. He just flies back, he's like, well, that didn't work. So they're fighting, and Subaru's literally beating the shit out of Elsa. All of a sudden you could just hear him say, Muda, Muda, Muda! And then all of a sudden, Elsa's like, what is that from? I don't get the reference. And she's getting this shit beat out of her. And all of a sudden, she's trying to, swing at him. And he's like, ha! I deflected this! And then she's like, did you really think you could deflect it? And then, his guts are starting to open up, and he's like, oh, shit. And then Elsa's like, yeah, I had a second one. He's not completely dead yet. He's, bleeding out, and he's like, welp. I have to activate my full power. And then she's like, wait, what, you were holding back? And then he was like, of course I was. she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and fucking dip. She tries to dip, and Subaru was in his head was like, I'm glad that bluff actually worked. And then she was like, wait. I noticed those veins that popping outside your eye. By chance, is there like a time limit or something? Wait, you're probably really weakened right now. And then he's like, in his head, he's like, fuck my life. Then all of a sudden, Reinhardt just comes through the doors like, gladly. Like, he just says gladly, and Subaru's like, oh my god, he can read minds. And then he's like, what do you mean, retarded kid? And then he's like, I'd like to order a pepperoni pizza. And he's like, I'm not a waiter. He's like, oh. Reinhardt literally starts fighting Elsa like in canon. And literally Subaru was like, you know what? I'm gonna use my ultimate technique, the thought punch. Literally punches her so hard that she flies through like 5 buildings. And then Subaru just realized, I overused it, now I'm fucking blind temporarily. Oh shit. So he's like completely blind for a second. And then Amelia's like, are you okay? And he's like, oh no, I'm legally blind now. I'm legally blind. And then look, Reinhardt just makes a joke, no, you're illegally blind. And they started laughing, and he's like, that's not funny, bro. I literally can't see.
Yeah, it's illegal too, it's not funny. Come here.
And yeah, so Reinhardt finds out that, Felt stole something. So, goes after Felt. Realization that she was like, one of the actual heirs. People that could actually go against for the throne. So just swooped her out of the way, was like, I'm taking this lolly with me. And then Subaru was like, please, where are you? And he's like, not in that way, you creepo. And then Subaru was like, well, I gotta find a place to stay. And Amelia was like, just stay with me at the Roswell Mansion. And he was like, I don't know what could possibly go wrong with this idea.
Oh, well.
And then they go to the Roswell Mansion. And he's like, yeah, I have a bad feeling about this place. And all of a sudden, you just see Roswell in the front gate. You don't see Rim or Rom right now. You see Roswell at the front gate saying, "Oh, you're approaching me." And then he's like, oh, "Someone knows the references." And then he's like, "JoJo." And they start hanging out a little bit. And he's wondering how he knows about this. And Roswell's like, "Oh well, this book fell from the sky at one point, and I just started reading it." And he's like, "They found out about Lord Joso." JoJo! And all that happens. So they start hanging out for a little bit. They introduce the Rom and Rim, and both of them are looking at him like, this man buff as hell. And just so you know, Roswell still doesn't trust Subaru because, well, just met him. Although they did bond over JoJo's, that's not a deep enough bond for him. And Subaru's like, well, this is gonna be good. I almost died, got fixed up, and I'm at a mansion now. This is gonna go great. And until next time, the Subaru on Retard Ball Z. Does Subaru find out about the mansion? Does he find more retards in his crusade? Or does he just get completely overshadowed? Find out next time
Becoming a background character, it's really
on Retard Ball Z, Battle of the Retardation. Alright, see you next time. Signing out, Wacky Anime Ifs.